Greetings and welcome to Nathan Lyle Official. If you've never seen my face in a video before, my name is Nathan Lyle, and this is my personal channel where I do vlogs, reviews, and anything else that happens to catch my fancy. This video is part 3, so if you haven't seen the other two, hopefully I remember to put this on the playlist, so go watch those. It's a series I have called Forgotten 90s and 2000s TV shows, and when I say forgotten, I just mean that in my personal life, no one else ever seems to bring them up. I'm always the first one to mention them. And everyone looks at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, no, I promise, it's real. It exists.
It wasn't a dream. It really happened.
There are a lot of shows I watched, like Power Rangers, Buffy, Between the Lines, Dragon's Tales. Everyone knows these. So the shows I'm going to talk about in this video are shows that, you know, if I don't specifically go looking for them, I feel like they never get mentioned or talked about. After writing the first one, I realized, damn, there's a lot more than I realized. And so I ended up spreading it out. And so for this one, there's actually parts 1 and 2. So these are shows that, honestly, I completely forgot they existed as well. I remembered them as I was writing the scripts for earlier episodes of this. And I'm splitting it in half between live action and cartoon. So this episode is about live action shows that I know I watched as a kid, but I feel like the rest of the world, for the most part, doesn't know that they ever existed. First, we're going to talk about a few teen shows, which when I was looking these up, it seems to be like all of these are kind of successors to Saved by the Bell. And the first two are honestly, I got them confused as a kid, and I got them even more confused as an adult with years of separation from watching them. One of them is called Malibu CA, which seems to be about two twins, teenage boys. They go to live in Malibu at a beach house with their dad. I don't know I think their parents were divorced, and I don't remember anything about it other than the fact that it had a pretty cool theme song. And then there's California Dreams, which is about a bunch of high schoolers who make a rock band called the California Dreams. I say rock very loosely. It's not like heavy metal or anything. It's very mellow pop, beach vibes, chill shit. It's hard to describe. I only remember the one song because it was the theme song. And it wasn't that great of a theme song in my opinion. It wasn't a bad song, it was just a horrible theme song. By far, one of my favorites was called City Guys, which, once again, I don't remember it that much. I know I spent so many times sitting there watching it, waiting for it to come on. The only thing I remember is that there was a rich white guy who is somehow in an inner city school surrounded by black people. I don't know. It was the 90s, man. But yeah. I remember, I think one of the bullies' name was L Train or something. He was funny. He was big and strong and he couldn't read. And he's like 23 still in high school. I think half the cast probably was in the 20s. It was the 90s. That's how things worked. Also, there's another show I remember watching. I think this was like early 2000. It was called Raising Dad, starring Bob Saget. And it had a young, then unknown Kat Dennings, who has gone on to have a pretty good career. And it also featured, like, as a friend role, Megan Good, who herself also has had a pretty decent career. But yeah, it's basically Bob Saget returns to a new family, you know, playing a hapless dad, single father, trying to raise 2 daughters. No idea what the fuck he's doing. Honestly, I know I saw it, but it didn't last. It had a few episodes and then it was gone. And I haven't seen it since. And if it wasn't for the fact that Kat Dennings ended up having, like I said, a very long and successful career, I probably would have forgotten this ever existed. And then there's another fun one which, you can question if it would even exist today in the modern world where things are a lot more, shall we say, PC. It's called Living with Fran. If you've ever seen a show called The Nanny, Fran Drescher And she had a TV show where she starts dating a young guy who's closer to her kid's age than he is to hers. And then there's another show that I really remember loving, and I identified very much with this. It's a show called Maybe It's Me, which honestly, the more that I think about it, sometimes when I try to describe the show, it feels like I'm describing it's Malcolm in the Middle but female. Because the whole Maybe It's Me, the whole premise of the show is that there's a girl who grows up in this crazy ass weirdo family, and she's spending her entire life trying to prove that she's not as crazy as all of the weirdos that she's related to. Unfortunately for her, turns out she is a weirdo. There was also a show called Quintuplets, which is about Andy Richter is married to a woman who popped out 5 kids at once, and now they're all teenagers, and things are just fucking crazy in the house. I know it's a show where, once again, is it good? No. Is it fun? Yes. There's also a show that I can only really mention briefly because legitimately I forgot that it existed. I know I watched it. Now that I've been reminded that it existed, I know that I watched it. But it completely got erased from my memory for a couple decades. It's called Los Luchadores, which is about a bunch of luchadors who also fight crime. That's all I can tell you. Legitimately, that's all I can tell you. Honestly, I kind of accidentally stumbled upon this show while looking up Mucha Lucha, which is something I'll talk about in the next video. I'm gonna try to hurry. The wind's picking up. There seems to be rainstorms headed in. There's only 3 shows left, and they all have a pretty similar vibe of like, we're trying to be Xena, but we're not as good. And they've all got wildly different premises. Speaking of Xena, the first one we're going to talk about is Jack of All Trades, which is actually starring one of the actors who appeared on Xena. He was the King of Thieves in Xena, and in this one, I thought he was a pirate. Turns out he's like a secret agent, and he's just like a master of disguises. There's a lot of shit going on. Another one is Cleopatra 2525, which I have not seen since it aired. I remember thinking it's pretty good, and there is one lady on it who has become a legend in her own right. And the only thing I remember about the show is the premise, which is that, some woman, for whatever reason, her name's Cleopatra, I'm pretty sure, she wakes up like 500 years in the future where machines have taken over and humans are driven underground, just fighting for survival. I gotta find that show and try to give it a second watch. I really need to reacquaint myself with that. I got a lot of other shit on my plate first, but that's on the list. And last but certainly not least, I'm gonna mention She Spies, which has got Natasha Henstridge and a host of other people. It's basically a Charlie's Angels parody in the same way that like Scream is a parody of scary movies. Because with Scream, it's a legitimate horror movie that is poking fun at other slasher flicks and tropes. And that's kind of what She Spies is. It's about 3 spies who are all hot, and they go undercover, they kick ass, and occasional spicy time with some pretty bin. And that's it for this video. If you're upset that, something you loved growing up wasn't mentioned, there's one of 2 reasons. Either 1, I just didn't watch it, or 2, the fact that it exists is the proof that it doesn't belong on this list. Like, Relic Hunter, I went back and forth on whether or not to bring that up, but I feel like, first and foremost, Tia Carrere, still famous enough. Even if you didn't grow up with Relic Hunter, you might just be able to look at her discography. You know who she is. You can look at her filmography and find that. But anyways, that's it for this video. Apologies if it's not as high quality as you would have liked. It's the best I can do at this specific moment in time. And there are 3 more coming. So until you see them, whenever they happen to happen, I don't know, man. We're flying by the seat of our pants here. Anyways, the point is, until the next time you see me in a video, however long that might be, I hope you have a great day, week, month, year, whatever it is.
You smoked all of it, didn't you?